New York.
Apple.
Hot dogs.
Dollar.
Hollywood.
Democracy.
Freedom.
Rock and roll.
Wall Street.
Statue of Liberty.
Los Angeles, California.
McDonald's.
Jeans.
Bubblegum. Video games. Nintendo.
What's so great about America?
Every Saturday night, 7 to 9 p.m., explore American culture and language.
With Master Steve,
Ina MK,
And Hasba Cutie.
tune in to find out about what makes America so great.
The Great American Weekend. Listen exclusively on Radio Van 103.1.
Also, watch us on the Radio Von Facebook page, website, and mobile app.
Good evening, dear listeners of Radio Van 103.1. This is the Great American Weekend right here on air, and we have joined also the social media platforms right now at this moment. So if you would like to watch us as well, you can go ahead and go to our Facebook page, Radio Van FM 103.1. Also join our application, download it, and see us anywhere around the globe. We are here in the studio with my colleagues, friends, co-hosts of this show, Hasva QT, applause, Master Steve.
Hello. Welcome to the Great American Weekend.
Yeah, and right now I'm going to announce the theme of our tonight's show, which is summer and global warming. Welcome, Summer.
Hello,
Summer's
Summer.
here.
Hi, Summer. How are you?
I'm fine.
I don't think it's going to answer.
The question is, how are we feeling during this summer heat?
I'm going to be honest with you. The first thing is I love to hear myself speak. The second thing is I love sweating. It's really such a fantastic feeling. It's really awful for the rest of the people around me, but for me, it's just this like the internal becomes external. Your body is cooling itself in the summer heat. You're just dripping wet all day from this heat that is just making you feel like your body is working. It's like having a good workout without really working out. It's pretty fantastic for me, but many of the people around me don't like it.
I want to go take a shower now. That's how I feel.
That's what I was going to say. It's also because you lose some weight.
Water weight.
I wish we had a
Sweaty.
shower at the radio station somewhere.
Ooh.
That would be cool.
Coming to you live from the showers.
I'm not sure how that would work. Are the microphones waterproof? I don't think so.
No.
That'd be great. One of those shows where they have like the half door and their head kind of comes up and like the shower steam. We could have like cameras set up on. I like this idea. We could do this.
At least we could have our feet in cold water. Well, okay, and also let's mention the guest that we're gonna have later during the show. She comes all the way from the United Kingdom. She's got some Armenian roots.
Ooh.
And her name is Katya D'Janoeff. She has a Russian name.
Katya D'Janoeff.
So Katya D'Janoeff, musician, guitar player, singer. She'll be here during the show, and she's going to tell everything about her story and how she ended up here.
Is she going to play for us?
Yes.
We get some live music again tonight?
Yes.
I love the live music.
Yes.
I'm excited to hear her play because I heard her folk music a few days ago because Master Steve was playing it for me, and something about her voice is very warming. So
warm summer, warm guest,
warm globe,
warm
globe.
voice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, maybe her voice is what's also causing global warming, which is part of our theme for this week as well. Yes.
You never know.
Oh, everything causes global warming
these days. Yeah,
even
right.
You're sweating. How's that?
I actually so I read this list of the top contributing factors to global warming not too long ago. It was last year, actually. Mm-hmm. And my assumption was carbon dioxide that was produced by combustible engines was one of the primary...
Internal combustion engines.
Yeah, was one of the primary contributors. But I was surprised to see that the number one impacting influence on the global warming was actually directly correlated to the amount of children each family has.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so each child that's born contributes 10 times the amount of what the impact would be of, let's say, someone taking a transatlantic flight.
So basically, what you were saying is
We need to
last
say
weekend
sorry,
when we were celebrating
world.
International Children's Day,
That's called.
we were celebrating the increase in greenhouse gases and global warming.
So if you, yes, it's
So
kind
we
of,
were celebrating global warming last weekend.
it's a bit
Or
macabre.
the biggest
Basically,
cause
yes.
of global. Well, no, I mean that makes perfect sense. But saying that it's children is one thing. I mean, a lot of it simply has to do with the fact that it's people.
Yeah, exactly.
People in general. So the more people there are, the more resources we use, and the more we contribute to the greenhouse gases.
Okay, that makes sense now. Poor
So,
children.
Blame
them.
it on the kids.
This is
Yeah.
it's an important element because I think oftentimes we want to see what it is that the humans are doing that causes the most impact on global warming, which are transatlantic flights, which are
How about
energy
trans-Pacific flights? I think those are worse because those are longer flights.
Yeah, those long haul flights, basically. That's basically what it comes down to, which are again internal combustible.
No.
Combustible engines.
No,
External
no,
in this
jet.
case.
No,
Jet
jets
engines.
Jets are different.
Combustible engines.
Internal
that's a
combustion
hard
engines
word.
is when the gas gets
vehicles.
burned inside the engine, inside the pistons.
So motor vehicles.
Yeah, motor vehicles.
Master, what does
prop-
it mean,
prop planes,
combustible
or prop-
engines?
internal
Could you please explain?
combustible engines would be engines that burn, but
Yeah.
I don't think that's internal combustion engines. Is
Okay.
when the burning takes place inside of the engine.
With pistons.
Can
Yeah.
you
With the
say
pistons, yeah.
combustible character?
Well,
Or
yeah,
can you use it?
combustible character?
Sure.
Well, yeah, I suppose
Attitude?
it would mean that.
I mean, it's not really relevant to this context, but
Okay.
sure, you could poetically. I know you write lyrics, so that may be poetically. But in this context, it would be about types of engines. So jet engine would be something that uses airflow in order to propel an airplane, let's say.
Okay,
It's still
thank you.
it burns fuel. It's not necessarily combustion as much as causing rotation.
No, well, it's combustion.
Is
it's
it?
burning the fuel.
I don't
Yeah.
know- I don't know
But
anything
it's
about
not,
aerodynamics.
It's not the pistons and the whatever. It works in a different way.
Can
What
I
it-
say
what-
something?
Yeah.
Burning the fuel in Armenian is a really funny phrase. Like you're starting to burn the fuel, or you're starting to burn
Oh,
the
burn
oil.
oil. Burn
Yeah,
oil.
oil.
Yeah.
What does that
Means
mean?
Like you're.
You're rambling.
Yeah,
you're talking too
You're
much.
Blah, blah,
That's
blah,
what we
blah.
do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
blah blah
that's-
blah.
Every
So-
time I open my mouth.
When we
No, we're ready for the break now.
Oh, already?
And we'd
I'm
like
not
to...
ready.
I'm not ready
Okay.
either.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it.
It might
But-
be time for it, but I am not ready.
Yeah.
I don't
True.
want to.
We're
I
never
don't want
ready.
to.
I don't want to do it.
And
don't
I
want
would
to.
I
like
don't
to
want to.
encourage our listeners, dare to write your comments, ask your questions, don't hesitate. We're here to answer any of them. Master Steve can help you and give you hints on some phrases and some slang,
You
which
can call
is
us
pure
live.
American.
You can call us live on our telephone number. What's our telephone number here?
Do we have? No, we don't have that connected up yet.
Oh man, darn. Never mind. You can't
well,
call us
maybe
live.
next time we can do that because we can do that next time.
I'm all about the interactivity.
we do have the red phone in here, don't
Yeah,
we?
of course,
That,
of
that
course,
connects
always.
us directly to the White House.
oh yeah, the NSA.
I mean,
He knows
they
too
can
much.
call us, but we can't call them.
He knows too much.
Unfortunately,
He knows too much.
Time
they
for
can
the
call
break.
us,
He knows
but
too
we
much.
can't call them.
We'll be back.
After these messages from our sponsors.
Stay tuned. The Great American Weekend.
Come and hang with us every weekend. It'll be a blast.
A blast?
Yeah, a good time.
No, come chill with us. It'll be cool.
Chill?
Yeah, relax, hang out.
Come choose the fat with us.
Yuck! No way! Join us!
On the Great American Weekend, where we'll help you decode American slang.
Welcome back to the Great American Weekend. I'm Hasva QT here with Master Steve and Ina MK.
Yo.
And we're talking about, we're on 103.1 Radio Von FM, and you can find us live on the Facebook stream and on our website.
Yeah, if our voices aren't enough for you, you can check us out.
You can look at
moving images
in Technicolor
on this thing called the internet.
So we yes,
which also affects global warming, does it?
Yeah, it sure does. Anything that consumes
humans do,
yeah, anything that uses
causes
energy.
global warming.
This week's episode, we wanted to talk about some things that people do in America during the summertime and the heat and what they do to cool off. And at the same time, we wanted to add relevance in a global context because we didn't just want to talk about fun and happy stuff with water balloons and water guns.
Because, we need to be depressing and
we got
heavy.
to keep it real. In other words, we got to keep it real. So we wanted to introduce what it is that people do in America to keep cool in the summertime, but then explain to you why this deadly heat exists during the summertime that causes you to really need to keep cool, especially these days where there are record heat numbers. So part of the things that we started to talk about in the States, there's this concept of a public pool. I don't know if that exists really in Armenia, but this idea of there's a state park.
Well, Soigné Lake.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, right. Exactly. Exactly.
Public pool. I remember the first time I saw kids just jumping into the pond there and going swimming. I was like, really? Huh?
Yeah, my first time was with Kanye West.
Oh, you were there?
Yeah, that was my first seeing it. I wasn't there. I wasn't there, but I'll give you a high five.
Okay.
So there's this concept of public pools that are made available in the States for people to go in the side of a state park that's managed, and this concept of like a state park where people can go for hikes and then have this fun time with the family at the pool. That's one of the things that I remember as a kid, and sometimes nearby there are barbecues. And then there are these different water activities. But I don't know if they're specifically American. I would say like there's this concept of the water balloon fight that I feel like is an American thing just because that's where I experienced it.
Probably.
But the one thing that I know for sure was an American thing was specifically in the inner city where I would see in Brooklyn when I was living there, kids open the fire hydrant and let the water just flow out from where they would firefighters would use the fire to put out fires is where they would get the water to just flood the streets and have fun. So people would stay cool that way. But there were water guns. What else did we say?
Water guns and I grew up in the suburbs. I've spent most of my life living in the suburbs.
Me too.
When I'm not here in Armenia, and we had the sprinklers.
Oh yeah.
You've got the hose and the sprinkler, so the little thing that's supposed to be
it's
watering.
rated G. Then let's not talk about hoses. So
yeah. They're originally made to water your lawn. So when it gets hot and dry and you've got to, water your lawn so it doesn't die and turn brown, you have these little things. They spin around and they spray water, artificial rain for your grass. And, when it's hot out, the kids, you go running in the sprinkler. You put on your swimsuit, for those of us which was most people when I was a kid, those of us that weren't lucky enough to have a swimming pool or didn't have a public swimming pool nearby, you go running in the sprinkler.
Yeah.
So, and then the slip and slide.
Oh, man, I remember that too. That was definitely a straight up American thing. The idea of a slip and slide, just in case you don't know, I thank you for this. Oh, my God. So
Is it a
imagine-
water park?
No,
Handmade water
you,
park.
You can do it in your backyard, and it's a piece of plastic that you stretch out
Mm-hmm.
that has a small, tiny nylon pool that you fill with water at the end, and you and your friends just run in your shorts, and you basically jump, and you can slide on this piece of plastic all the way to another piece of plastic filled with water, and it's fun.
Doesn't it
And it's
explode?
flashing.
No,
Well, no,
I
no.
mean,
I
not-
mean, it's just like a big plastic tarp.
Oh.
Yes.
And the
That
fancy
sounds
ones
like
that you
fun.
would buy at the store
And contributed to global
you would,
warming.
You would hook the hose up. You would hook the hose up to this thing, and it had a little hose along the
that's
side
right.
of it, and it would just sprinkle a little bit of water onto the plastic tarp, so it would be nice and wet and slippery.
Slip and slide.
So you'd go running across the grass, and then you just slide on the tarp, and then at the end of it, there's a little pool of water, and you just splash into it. You know?
And now we need to slide into the advertisement break, which will be
Are you
followed
serious?
by a music, Nightshade by the Lumineers, which is one of the last soundtracks of the last episode of the Game of Thrones.
I really wish we were being paid by all of these sponsors because I love them so much that they interrupt our content flow
They don't even
Gotta
ask.
pay the bills
Yeah.
somehow.
somehow.
And by the way, we have a comment by Andres Simonian. He says, I'm in the metro in the tunnel soon, so if I get disconnected, please send my regards to Katya. Ask her to tell our Jan story. Oh, we will for sure, Andre. Jan, hugs and kisses from our GAW team all the way to you, wherever you are.
Oh God.
GAW team?
Oh God.
The GAW team.
GAW. Great American Weekend.
Weekend. We'll be back soon.
Yalla bye.
Hey, Steve, do you like Chash Harissa and Spas?
Yeah, I love them. But what would you call them in English?
Yeah, I'd call them cowfoot stew, chicken porridge, and sour yogurt soup.
Sorry I asked.
The Great American Weekend.
Welcome back to the Great American Weekend here on Radio Vaughn. We're talking about summer and American summer activities and traditions, and we'll be talking a little bit about global warming as well. We're going to bring the news back in this week. We're going to have a little bit of news later on, which we haven't done for, a couple of weeks now, right?
Yeah, back to news.
Yeah, we'll have a.
I'm excited
We'll have an
about
update on the Mueller report.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious. It's
Okay.
still it's.
No, seriously.
Everybody has now turned off the program.
The show. Okay, so
So what else? What else?
Camping.
Did what?
What-
Quotes?
Yeah, sure. The quotes are ready to
Or I mean, we could talk more about summertime activities
right after the quotes.
right after the quotes.
So
Up to what you guys feel like is really fun to talk about.
okay, so let's go with the quotes. If summer had one defining scent, it would be definitely the smell of barbecue. For that, Katie Lee says that, but that is definitely very common for Armenians, the barbecue.
Yeah, but I mean,
all year through.
Armenian barbecue is so different from
Yeah.
American barbecue.
Yeah, let's talk about it. What is different?
Let's talk about that. So, hot dogs and hamburgers versus like straight pork. meat and greasy coal fires. And the big difference I see is that there's a grill in America that has like this metal, and oftentimes it's like gas or coal barbecues.
Charcoal, yeah.
Versus here where there's a lot of wood and sometimes coal.
I don't know. I
like
wonder
wood coal.
what's better for the environment:
the
burning
global
natural
warming.
gas to cook your meat, or burning trees.
It's a good question.
I would say hands down, burning wood would be better for the environment. And here's my thesis on why. Because the amount of energy required to extract natural gas and to extract any type of energy that is in the form of either natural gas deposits in the earth via
So basically,
fracking,
fossil fuels.
or fossil fuels, is the amount of energy required to extract that is by measures more than burning a piece of wood that you would find in the forest. Although trees are very important, I think that the contribution to the carbon dioxide in the
any way
environment,
you cut it,
any way you
we're
cut it,
killing
I
the
like
planet.
it.
It's our fault.
It's our fault. We're like mosquitoes
Save
and
the
parasites on the
planet.
earth.
Save the planet.
Save the planet, kill humans.
I don't know. Have you?
Now you're. Now you're.
I'm joking. I'm not condoning homicide or suicide.
Have you met anyone
or
that lives?
animals? Don't get any ideas. Don't come after
Don't
us.
come to me. Yeah, exactly.
Mother
Don't
Nature
gain
will do the
consciousness.
job herself.
Do you know anyone that
Floods
lives
and-
in harmony with nature, though? Like, do you know anyone that has like zero impact on the environment? That has like solar energy for their energy use. Even that though has an impact because producing a solar panel is not necessarily
Again,
energy sufficient as well.
I don't know anyone personally doing that.
I know someone, but they live in the mountains of Colorado, and they have a cave that they live in, a two-floor cave, basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
2-floor cave.
His name is Yoshi Gutkut, and it's only one person that I know that lives like that. And it's very difficult in terms of our modern society to contemplate or consider a type of lifestyle where you live solely by the means that are available in terms of energy and planting your own food and growing your own
So
food.
basically being self-sufficient.
Yes. I mean, that type of self-sufficiency really has been equated with monetary income more than the work that you put into care for plants or to find your own water source and to take care of that or to raise the animals that you would want to have on your own,
That
for your
takes a lot
consumption.
of effort.
I mean, it's it's really interesting to think about because when you think about the amount of effort that it takes to, let's say, go to work,
Save
get to
the
work,
planet.
speak, write, do all these things that are primarily sedentary. If you compare it to this more active lifestyle of actually putting the work in to provide yourself with the plant life and the fruits and the meat that you would want or the eggs and the milk that you would want, it just seems like it would be a healthier lifestyle to live a life where you are living self-sufficient. But our society is not constructed that way. There's this kind of social agreement that money is what is the more efficient means to provide for us this healthier lifestyle, and it's easier and more efficient. And if we're not consuming the technology that's given to us, we're not necessarily partaking in what humanity is experiencing in terms of their evolutionary development. I don't know. That's how I see it. How do you see it, Steve?
I don't know. I don't
it's
see it.
hard.
I've got my eyes closed, or the lights turned out, or something. No, I'm just kidding. Look, you can go back and talk about living and being self-sufficient, and that's so good. It's so close to nature. But at the same time, I mean, that's what people did, a couple thousand years ago, more or less. And what was their life expectancy?
It's true.
Through when you are doing things yourself, the quality and the variety of what you have. And I'm not just talking about quality and variety in terms of I like this and I want more of this and I want more of that. The variety of food that you would be able to have to get all of the nutrients and vitamins and all of that kind of stuff to live as healthy of a life as we tend to do now would be difficult. I mean, if you were producing all of your food on your own, you would have a very limited diet and you would probably have deficiencies in some vitamin or mineral or something like that. So it's difficult to say. I mean, there are trade-offs. There are pros and cons no matter which way you go.
It's true.
I would like to interrupt you guys and say hello to Katya D'Janoeff. She's watching us right now, and she'll be soon in our studio. So don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. We're gonna be here and ask her questions. I would like to remind that Katya D'Janoeff comes all the way from the UK. She is a musician, singer, songwriter, and a guitar player. And now, if I may, I will go to the second quote that I've prepared. So,
yeah, there were quotes.
yeah.
And we just started.
Talking about global
Yeah.
warming.
And it's cool because I love the transition. So I love summertime more than anything else in the world. It is the only thing that gets me through the winter, knowing that summer is going to be there. Jack McBire. So why do people always have this positive expectations connected with summer? We have the best memories connected with our summertime. Maybe love related as well.
Yeah, you take off your clothes more.
That's simple.
That's the simple truth right there. I mean, number one, summer love is a thing. So, yeah, summertime is great because you need less, and the fruits are all growing during that time, so you can take pleasure in the fruits of the labor of planting during the springtime and the trees being harvested and fruits being harvested. I mean, yeah, it's just fun times. Summertime, fun times, baby.
Bye-bye. And the third quote is Midwest kids got to summer camp. There is something very special about being away from your parents for the first time, sleeping under the stars, hiking, and canoeing. Jamie Gertz.
Summer
Also,
camp.
summer
Did you
is
go to summer
also-
camp at all when you were growing up, Hazva?
So summer is
Sure did.
also growing
Yeah.
up. Yeah, kind of growing up, being away from the parents.
Well, I mean, summer is when kids would get to be independent. I mean, the summer camp thing is a great example. You go to summer camp, you're away from your parents, you're with your peers, you're doing a lot of outdoor activities and that kind of stuff. But also, even if you weren't going to summer camp, you didn't have to go to school.
Yeah.
So you had to fill your
free time.
with things. These days, I think kids a lot of times just have all sorts of stuff going on, programs, activities, But I remember being bored in the summer. You'd wait. You would hate school. You would want it to be over with so you could have summer vacation. And then
you miss
3
it.
weeks into it, you're like, I have nothing to do. I am so bored.
But we had a huge list of books to read, I remember, summer reading.
Well, yeah, but
It was also
Did you
boring
ever
in
do
that age.
Did you ever do that? No. But you learned to deal with boredom. I mean, I remember me and my friends just doing the goofiest things, trying to make boats to float on the pond. And I mean, just you would find things to do that were kind of pointless and meaningless, but they filled the time.
Yeah, I would say definitely for me, the experience of summertime was a more intimate connection with nature, with water, with mountains, and walking and hiking and seeing ants and seeing plant life and flowers grow and change. And that it's the time in between the birth of spring and then the death of fall. And it's in that space where you can actually see how life is continuing, and in terms of, for me, my time in nature, that I would say that's what I would equate it with. The four elements: fire, water, wind, and earth. I would say is what summertime meant for me, which connects kind of with some of the stuff that I wanted to talk about with global warming. I don't know if we have time with that.
Yeah, we do.
Oh,
We
yeah,
have
we've
10
got-
minutes. So
Oh, fantastic.
Go for it. Haswa?
If you guys want to jump in on this stuff, it's great. But I'm basically this is like a cheat sheet on what really global warming is and how it's coming about and what are the main causes and effects. So
Go for it.
just to understand how the planet is warming. Basically, we are producing gases that are trapping heat into our environment and our atmosphere. And those are called greenhouse gases. And the two major greenhouse gases that are being produced is carbon dioxide and methane. Now, carbon dioxide, what are some things that are producing carbon dioxide? Cars, our exhalation, cigarette smoke, but I would say the main contributor would be engines. would be engines.
Well, I mean, basically, anytime we're burning a fossil fuel, we're creating carbon dioxide.
What
and
about
releasing
people
it.
creating gas?
Well, actually,
Flatulence?
that connects to the other gas, methane. So that's very relevant. Cow farts, not human farts.
Bovine flatulence.
Bovine flatulence, I like it. So bovine means cow or like of cows, and flatulence is a more civilized word for farting.
I think it's the
This is
medical.
so
I think it's the
interesting.
medical term.
Yes, the medical
flatulence.
term. So methane, which is the second main contributor to the greenhouse effect, which again is the trapping of heat inside of our planet. So these two main gases that we're producing, they are usually a byproduct of not only fossil fuels, but the production of plastics, the forming of plastics, anything that produces smoke into the environment.
Plastic is evil.
Yeah, I mean, it's not plastic in and of itself, but it's how we produce it. It's the ease.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the
Well,
main
it's not
idea.
so much. It's not so much how we produce it. It's how we dispose of it.
That as well. I mean, I think that as well. But the gas portion of the production of plastics is what is causing harm in terms of the greenhouse gas effect. But plastic, in terms of litter and its effect on animal life, is something different. So basically, energy use and land use are the two major impacts that humans are having on the planet. So if you consider, we burn fossil fuels for, or sometimes nuclear energy or coal energy for our ACs. We use fossil fuels for our cars. Anything that has to do with electricity has an impact with regards to energy use. So if you can conceptualize what's making a huge impact, it's energy use. And then land use is the cutting down of trees, which are critical for the absorption of carbon dioxide. And that land use then being replaced primarily by agriculture, which is usually single crop plants that kind of deplete soil quality and don't provide the possibility for tree growth, and oftentimes are used for consumption of meats, which is again supports the methane production or the bovine flatulence.
Again.
I mean, we just need to kill all the cows and eat them.
But 5 minutes
the
ago,
humans.
you were
Big,
saying
huge
that we need to
barbecue.
kill humans.
Big, huge barbecue. Kill all the cows and eat them. And we'll
And then
stop.
kill the
we'll stop
humans.
global warming. We'll slow down global warming.
Yeah.
We'll and then, you know.
I will get.
Guys out there, stop eating
Yeah, stop eating.
meat.
Well,
no,
I mean,
just stop eating. Period.
Specifically. Okay.
I'm of the opinion that the biggest reason for global warming is simply overpopulation. There are just too many of us.
We still come to the point where people
You
need
know,
to.
I mean, we need to eat, and yes, what you eat can change the impact of the food chain, or not the food chain, but the agricultural production and all of that stuff. It can have an effect, but I think really what it comes down to is there are too many people.
I used to think that the overpopulation was about land use. In my mind, as a kid, I had heard about overpopulation, and I thought to myself, oh, that means that we're not going to have enough space. But what I've come to understand is that overpopulation has a serious impact on the amount of consumption of energy, on the amount of produced greenhouse gases. So really, I agree with Steve's opinion, on Master Steve's opinion on human overpopulation being the major factor that's contributing to the detriment of the planet, which is unfortunate because there are so many people that want to have families. So how can you stop that?
But it's not just having families. It's this kind of American Western lifestyle of having the car,
Yeah.
Having the house in the suburbs
Yes.
with the yard. So I mean that's cutting down forests in a lot of cases to build these housing developments, to build
Land
these
use,
suburbs.
energy use. Yes, exactly.
So it's and as the rest of the world starts to develop and they want these things that they've seen in the movies and on television that Americans have, this good American life, hey, when it was just the Americans doing it, the impact on the environment was still there, but it wasn't as large. And now the rest of the world wants to get in on that. We've got to radically change the way all of this is being done, or we just have to change our values, what we want, what we expect.
I'm so glad that you said that, because there's a list of basically this is like global warming for dummies, and there's a list of things that people can do in order to lessen their their impact on the greenhouse effect, and what they can do, what people
Reduce
can do.
their carbon footprint?
Yes, exactly. So the first one that's mentioned is eat less or no meat, which you had mentioned. Someone close to you.
Thanks to the vegetarians.
Yes.
At this point,
It's true.
Yeah.
Eating less or no meat produces less need for methane-producing animals in the world. Hooking up your home to clean energy, anything that's solar or wind-powered, any type of renewable energy.
solar energy cars.
Yes, that as well.
By the way, sorry for interrupting, but recently I know that there is a new law which in Armenia, which is going to enlarge and promote and also develop the solar energy cars.
Great.
Into our country. So
It's
that's
about
a good
time.
news.
It's about time.
What is next?
Insulating your house, so maintaining energy efficiency within your home. So that means keeping your house cool and warm. You can achieve keeping your house cool and warm by properly insulating your home, which I know a lot of homes in Armenia are not quite really up to insulation standards. Traveling smart, which means reducing the amount of transocean flights that you need to take throughout the year, opting for a train.
When I go visit the U.S. this time, I'm going to swim there.
Oh, through the lake, Sevan. This is where you're going to start, I think.
Using only the energy you need, that's another thing that you can do. So like turning off the lights when you're leaving a room, when you're not using the appliances that you're using, that's another thing you can do. And the reason why this is important, this is why I think it's critical for people to know, is this affects all people. It's not something that is national. It's not something that is, one nation versus another nation. This is literally global. It's everyone. So it affects.
That's why it's called global warming.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, we don't really often have a chance to increase our awareness to a point where we're actually considering the globe. We're often rarely even considering one another, let alone like an entire planet.
It has to do as well with not looking at things through purely economic views. You can afford to keep your lights on all the time.
Yes.
You can afford to drive your car all over the place. But does that mean that you should? I mean, there's more than just an economic cost at stake here.
It's true.
As things start to get less expensive, we think, oh, we're going to use more of it. But maybe we shouldn't for other reasons.
And I think this human-centric approach to seeing the world prevents us from seeing the extreme weather that occurs around us, with record-breaking heat, with more hurricanes and typhoons.
We should talk about that. What exactly after the break?
Yeah.
What exactly is global warming?
Oh, and how it impacts us.
And what is climate change? And how does that connect with weather and weather patterns?
Yes.
And we're enjoying great weather here in our studio. We'll be back in a bit after the advertisement break, and also a song followed, Change the World by Eric Clapton. Stay tuned. This is the Great American Weekend.
Hello?
Hi, is your refrigerator running?
No, it doesn't have any legs.
Some American jokes just don't work with foreigners.
Welcome back to the Great American Weekend here on Radio Vaughn. I am Master Steve. We've got Ina MK and Hasba QT here in the studio.
Hasba, does refrigerator cause global warming?
Well, not necessarily the refrigerator, but energy consumption.
If you keep it closed,
yes,
it doesn't. If you keep it open, it actually cools the. No, that doesn't work that way, does it? More energy consumption. It's a refrigerator equals more energy consumption, but. Again, it's a byproduct of technology that we come to use.
That's technology.
What exactly is global warming?
Well, according to Global Warming for Dummies, the global warming is the usage of the production of greenhouse gases, primarily carbon dioxide and methane, that causes the trapping of heat on our planet. And what that does is that it increases the temperature of the planet, which causes more extreme weather, causes warming oceans, which in turn causes the melting of polar ice caps, which affects all people around the world because we see droughts happening in places where there used to be fresh water. We see more extreme hurricanes and typhoons. We see higher temperatures that are record-setting.
Which we really see now in Yerevan, in Armenia. We haven't had this hot weather, I mean, I don't remember, in last 30 years.
Yes, and actually, specifically for Armenia, Ina, if you really want to think about it, we might think about ourselves as being perhaps saved from global warming or rising ocean waters because we are landlocked.
Right.
But the increasing desertification of our lands because of the lack of trees. And a lack of aquifers underneath our soil will bring us closer and closer to being more like a desert. And we're kind of right around the region, this area where many people say we're a water nation, which is true. We're close to many ice caps of mountains, but that doesn't necessarily mean that everything is green and everything is, kosher, so to speak.
We need greens, dear government.
Wait, so what's the difference between global warming and climate change?
Well, climate change is a byproduct of the globe warming. Climate change is
caused by,
specifically, this is from my understanding, the more extreme weather patterns that we see. So more frigid winters, more hot summers, larger disparity between the temperatures of the highs and the lows, droughts,
so
long period
global
rains.
warming doesn't mean that the temperature is just going to go up everywhere.
No, it means that it's going to cause more extreme weather and the rising waters.
Because what global warming, it's the average temperature of the Earth's atmosphere is going up.
Yes.
And just like, I mean, you can collect a whole bunch of people and find the average height of those people. That doesn't mean that anyone is that actual height. Right. And it doesn't mean that, all of the people are taller than that or shorter than that, whatever. One of the misconceptions, I think, and this is why I don't really like the idea of global warming. I think we should be talking about climate change more. The average temperature of the Earth's atmosphere is going up, but that's an average. So it wouldn't necessarily be something that we would notice in our everyday life in a specific location.
No.
But because the average temperature is going up, ice caps are melting, the jet stream might be changing.
Oh my God.
The ocean currents might be changing, and this changes the actual climate and weather systems that we experience. And so we're seeing different types of weather, different temperatures, fluctuations in temperature, storms, and that sort of stuff. It's changing.
Have you seen this? NASA is the National American Science Agency.
Aeronautics
and Space Agency. Sorry. Have you seen this video that has compiled the last 30 years of watching the solar ice caps growing and shrinking, and how the ice caps have melted? It's the most empirical that I've seen of the evidence of only the past 30 years. What we have available to us to see how the polar ice caps are melting. So if there's ever any type of doubt that you have that the rising temperatures are having an impact, there's a way for you to see it if you go to NASA's website, or if you search for this video that shows both greenhouse gases and how ice caps are melting. So increase your awareness of your energy consumption. Know that this impacts all of us, and let's do our part together to remind each other to consume less, to be more aware about environment, and to be more aware in general.
And before we get to the news, I found this quote by Leonardo DiCaprio, who says, "We all have to do our part to raise awareness about global warming and the problems we as people face in promoting a sustainable environment future for our planet." As a continuation to what you just said, Hasfa. And now, are we ready for the news? Because we have...
Yeah, we got to do the news. What do we got
got
first?
Like 5 minutes before the break, so we can do one
5
news
minutes
first.
before the break. 5 minutes only. Oh, damn. All right, let's go quickly. So, this week's news: Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi told senior Democrats, according to Politico, that she'd like to see President Donald Trump in prison, as she clashed with House Judiciary Chairman Jerry Nadler in a meeting on Tuesday night over whether to launch impeachment proceedings. So this was really interesting. She was asked whether or not that Pelosi, Nadler pressed Pelosi to ask her whether or not she was going to start an impeachment inquiry against Trump.
Whether she would allow him. He's the head of the House Judiciary Committee, so if impeachment proceedings were to be opened, it would have to start in his committee.
Right, he was going to ask for him to start
He wanted permission from basically the head of his party, the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, and she denied him.
And she, I mean,
don't deny.
This quote was really fantastic. It was, "I don't want to see him impeached. I want to see him in prison," is what Pelosi said. Which is, it's really becoming very dramatic now in the U.S. Congress and the U.S. Senate.
I think the whole thing is ridiculous.
It's all theater.
The whole thing is ridiculous because this was a closed door meeting. Okay, there were no reporters there. This was a meeting of the Democrats in Congress discussing strategy, and this statement.
How did this become known?
Didn't have to leave that room.
It didn't, but it did.
I know.
Who did that?
There's no,
That's
I don't
the
know,
question.
but it's everywhere. And that's the sort of thing, like, I think when I was growing up, I don't remember stuff like this coming out.
Nixon was ahead of our time, eh?
It's all social media.
Well, it's not just that. It's a lack of respect, a lack of privacy. I mean, privacy doesn't always have to do with the internet. You say something behind closed doors. This was a discussion, an argument amongst the House Democrats. Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to start impeachment proceedings, at least not yet. And I can understand why, because, I mean, impeaching Donald Trump would probably be the worst way to get rid of him.
Yeah, I mean,
it would be so divisive, so controversial. And if they start that, they had better be damn well sure that they've got evidence and they've got a strong case and that they can actually push this through. Because if they start impeachment proceedings and then they don't actually impeach him, the Democrats are probably going to lose big time in the next election. So I can totally understand why she wants to be cautious about this, at least for now, and do some more research, get some more evidence before they start on this. This is an internal dispute that became completely public, and it gave Trump a chance to badmouth Pelosi, talk about her being vindictive and mean and nasty. And
it's like
what she said was vindictive and mean and nasty.
I think
it shouldn't have become public. I mean, this was an internal.
Yeah, at the end of the day, she didn't. Offend.
No, I mean it's her own personal opinion, but it wasn't even expressed publicly, so it was something that was leaked. But regardless of that, I think that there are some people that are in Congress that know what offenses are that are prosecutable, and that there may be
right now
nothing that we know of. But I feel like there are people who have access to information who know that there might be something that they can prosecute him for.
Well, this isn't prosecution. This is
just my theory. Yeah.
Impeachment, not prosecution in a regular court.
I'm talking about prosecution, though.
Oh, yeah. After
his term, yes. So Nancy Pelosi's want is Donald Trump not to get elected and then to be tried in court. I think that's what they're going for, what they're hoping for. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And we need to respect the time of the advertisement. So we'll be back soon with some other news and also local news. Stay tuned. This is the Great American Weekend, and soon we'll be ready to welcome our guest.
Yeah, music, live music.
Ina, what would make America great again?
More barbecue.
No, we need more freedom. That's what'll make it great.
Join us on Great American Weekend.
And help us solve all of America's problems.
Every show is recorded by the NSA and sent to the White House.
Again, barbecue, and we're back. The Great American Weekend here in the studio. We're here till 9 p.m., and we will be really quick with the news because we are ready to welcome Katya D'Janoeff at our studio. So after the political discussion, I would like to share some cultural news with you guys. June 6th was Armenian composer Aram Khachaturian's 116th birthday. And my first news will be regarding one of his famous works, Saber Dance. So Saber Dance is to be premiered at Shanghai Film Festival. It is Saber Dance, directed by Yusuf Razikov, which presents the history of creation of Aram Khachaturian's masterpiece. The famous Saber Dance will be premiered at the Shanghai Film Festival on June 15th through 24th. The film, starring Hambartsum Kabanyan in the main role, was shot in Yaroslav region, Russia, and in Yerevan, where the main production site was the Yerevan State Opera and Ballet Theater. To note, Saber Dance, for those of you guys who don't know, a movement in the final act of Aram Khachaturian's ballet Gayane, where the dancers display their skill with sabers, is considered one of the signature pieces of 20th century popular music. In 1948, the Saber Dance became a jukebox hit in the United States. Due to its popularity, Newsweek suggested that 1948 could be called Khachaturian Year in the United States. In 1948, 3 versions of the Saber Dance reached #1 in the Billboard best-selling records by classical artists. Yeah.
I remember that song from cartoons on Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
Was that
the goth team performing for you guys.
Goth.
Okay, so what else do we have before we...
more about Trump?
Yeah.
More about Trump?
Could be.
So, here's where the Republicans were at each other's throats this past week too. Trump, of course, he was elected. One of the things that he was elected for was to try to deal with illegal immigrants, illegal migration. specifically across the southern border with Mexico. And he's tried a whole bunch of different ways, some legitimate and some not quite so legitimate, to try to stop that, right? And he's been stopped by the courts in some cases, by Congress in other cases, and all this stuff. Well, his latest shot was to announce the possibility of sanctions or tariffs against Mexico if they didn't take certain measures to try to slow the flow of illegal immigrants moving across the U.S.-Mexico border. He apparently did this without really consulting with anyone, and it caused a division within the Republican Party. A lot of Republican congressmen looked at this and thought, oh my gosh, we import so many things from Mexico, and if these tariffs go into place, then my constituents, the people that voted for me, are going to end up paying more for these products. It could hurt the economy, blah, 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 blah. And so they were very much against it. There were economists that came out against it and whatever. And to a certain extent, I see a lot of that as being a little bit short-sighted. It's a lot of people complaining about the kind of trade war that's going on with China. Trump is playing hardball with these different countries. He feels, and he was elected in part because American people, a significant number of American people feel that America is not being treated fairly in terms of trade and all these different things. So the Republicans were arguing about this. Trump basically was threatening the tariffs, and it appears to have worked. He's not going to put the tariffs in place against Mexico because the Mexicans have agreed to take certain steps to try to stop the inflow of illegal immigrants. They're going to put Mexican National Guard troops on the border. They are going to start processing more and more asylum applications in Mexico. They'll take back some of the people that are applying for asylum and hold them in Mexico until their asylum cases their applications have been processed. They're going to try to stop the flow of people coming into Mexico from further down in Latin America so that they don't travel through Mexico and go. So here is Trump playing hardball, doing something that people thought he's not crazy enough to do that. Oh, wait, this is Trump. Maybe he is crazy enough. And it seems to have worked out for him.
Oh, he's crazy enough.
And we're crazy enough to stop this conversation because we're getting ready for another break, and followed by a song.
Katya. Oh.
Yeah. Beautified Project and Katya D'Janoeff. And we're going to listen to...
Katya D'Janoeff. Every time I hear it, it reminds you of Parajanov.
Yeah.
Katya D'Janoeff.
We're going to listen to their mutual project, By the Sea. And right after that, we'll welcome Katya in our studio and ask all the questions that we have prepared for her. Stay tuned. It's going to get hotter and warmer, just like it should be in summer.
What's the best word in American English?
My all-time favorite word is but I usually refer to it as lovemaking.
Become more fluent in American English and slang.
Yeah, we are here on air, and we just don't hear ourselves, but it's not a problem because we hear our guest right here, right now, practicing the notes she's gonna perform for us later during the show. Welcome, Katya D'Janoeff. Welcome to
Katya
the Great
D'Janoeff.
American Weekend. Katya D'Janoeff. Okay. How do you feel? Comfortable on the chair, on the red couch?
Good. Yeah, I can hear my guitar, so that's a plus.
This is not your first time here in Armenia, right?
No.
So can we hear a story behind it a little bit before we start enjoying the music that you have prepared for us?
Well, I'm actually my father is partly Armenian, so sorry, we're testing sound. Yeah, so I've been here a few times, and my great-great-grandfather was born in Nagorno-Karabakh, so I have connections. And then I've been doing music here because I met Andre Simonian at a barbecue festival.
Yeah. By the way, hello, Andre.
Hi,
Thanks.
Andre.
Hi, Andre. He was following our show earlier, and he really asked to ask you to tell one of the stories that connect you guys together. But we'll do it later during the show.
Okay, sure.
Okay, and so what's more about your connections, Armenian connections?
Well, my great-great-grandfather was quite a well-known philanthropist here.
Oh, wow.
Called Aramyants, Mikhail Aramyants.
Aramyants.
Yeah. So we weren't really aware of much of this history, and then only in the last 10 years or so we've been learning more and more about it, because my father was born in England, so and his parents escaped during the revolution. So we've sort of been discovering our roots and coming back to this part of the world, to Armenia and Georgia, because he did a lot of things in both countries. So and I'm really enjoying spending time here. I keep spending more time here as I come. Each time I'm spending a bit more time. So.
How inspiring to hear someone who didn't really have much of a connection to knowing about their ancestry to go deeper and to travel to these two countries where one of your ancestors are from.
Yeah, it's great. I've been really enjoying each step. I learn more about.
How does that influence your music? Has it influenced your music, and how?
Yeah, well, I think especially moving and living in different environments, I think is a really great way to keep inspiration flowing and get new experiences. So I lived in Georgia for like 6 months, and then I'm living here for a few weeks, like 1 month, and then I'm kind of moving around, basically following music projects, which I've seemed to be just coming from great places. So it's been very inspiring. I've been writing a lot while being here. So
are we ready now to hear your first composition?
Sure.
Can you tell a little bit about it and then introduce it and then start?
Yeah, so this is called this is quite a new song. I always choose to play new songs when like on something like this, and then I'm like, oh god. But yeah, it's called Who Do You Choose to Be, and it is, I actually wrote it quite recently, actually inspired a little bit by being in a nightclub in Georgia, and this concept of like being in a total darkness, and you kind of have this, you could sort of choose to be anyone you want to be in those environments. So it's kind of, it was sort of thinking about that, and that's how it came about.
Great.
So yeah.
So we're ready.
Okay.
Let's do it. 1, 2, 3.
Feelings grow stronger as the night wears on. Wade through the darkness to the final song. Oh, my mind is gone, and it feels so good. Temptation never tasted so sweet. Who do you choose to be? Who do you dare to see? Who do you choose to be? Leaving no trace as the sun comes up, feeling my face. Drink to my brothers who have won, drink to my sisters who had none, bury their bodies, watch how they rot. Who do you choose to be? Who do you dare to Who do you choose to be? When silence is the loudest sound and empty bodies gone on the ground, the ecstasy they thought they found turned to tears. Oh. Who do you choose to be? Who do you dare to see? Who do you choose to be? Who do you choose to be? Thank you.
Wow, that was beautiful. That was
So
beautiful.
you said that was a recent composition, right?
Yeah.
So have you recorded it yet?
So I've done some recordings myself, but I haven't recorded professionally yet. I've done also some work actually with a producer here in Yerevan that Andre put me in touch with. So we've done a session like working on this song. So
Wow.
So
Great.
how do you envision that song being recorded
videoed.
and produced
yeah.
in a final form?
Yeah.
I mean, you're here performing solo for us. So it's the guitar and your vocals, which is great. Would you leave the song like that? Or would you fill it out more with more instrumentation? Or how?
Well, this is like a process that I've been going through for a while with all my songs, because that's like quite difficult from writing like I do on guitar to then thinking about the production. You know, you can take songs like in so many different ways, right? So it's, with me, I'm very indecisive. So I'm like, oh God, I like this. We could go this way or that way. So, but with this song, I think I sort of minimal production is what I'm imagining. And I've sort of thinking about using more electronic sounds as well. So more electronic beats and it being a bit kind of dark, but not too heavy, you know? So, yeah, I'm still in the process of trying to work that out, but.
Great. Katya D'Janoeff Jan. We have comments. Angelica Musalian says, good luck, dear Katya.
Thank
Hello,
you.
Angela.
Hi.
Thanks for your comments.
She's my cousin.
Oh, cool. And finally, eventually, we would like to know the story. Andres asked us to ask you to tell the John story.
Oh my God.
Okay, go for it.
So Andre wrote a message to me one time saying, Katya Jan. Obviously, Jan to you guys is it dear or something? What does it mean?
Dear.
Yeah, and so I just thought he like was shortening my surname because my surname is D'Janoeff. So he just wrote Katya Jan, and I was like, that's so weird. Is that like an Armenian thing that they shorten? They only use like the first three letters of someone's surname.
Is that a friendly way to say?
I just didn't know what it meant. I was like, okay, like. And
So
then
you're
he
like
told-
Andre Sim.
Yeah, exactly.
Sim.
I should have done that.
I have to say, this song that you just performed now, I could definitely sense there's like this almost like a Spanish, like
true.
flamenco feel to it, and I can imagine this this nightclub vibe where you're kind of experiencing this almost like seductive with the intonations going higher and lower, kind of bringing you into it. It's really such a really quite beautiful song.
Thank you. Thanks.
I'm curious to hear what the other song is. Because I heard there's like my favorite cuss word in there. And,
you want that one?
oh yeah,
I prepared a
definitely.
few, but
What was it? What was it? Was it called? What the fuck was it called? So just so I can put the F bomb out there. So, fucked up life.
I asked because I was like, oh, I don't know whether can I swear on here or not? Like,
Yeah. No.
Are children listening?
We're clear. We're clear on all curse words, including
just a second
F-bomb.
before we hear the second song. We've got something to fix really quickly with the mic, and then we'll be totally ready to start. Okay.
So we'll go to a commercial break.
No.
Oh,
We have 8 more minutes with Katya, so we would like to enjoy more of her music rather than doing blah blah blah. Well, of course, we want to hear your story as well, but music first. So, 1, 2, 3.
All right.
Ready.
Okay. This is called Fucked Up Life. I'm all alone at the party, and everybody's watching me. Call it a dichotomy, I can't explain. My body's here, but my mind's somewhere else. Put on a smile, pour a drink, maybe that will help. I'm sorry, I can't fake it like you. I guess some people think that I can too. So hold your breath and count to 10. I don't think that I can come back again, but I won't blame you if you do. I'm guilty of this too. We follow rules we make for ourselves, running in cyclical motions around our emotions, avoiding the toes of ghosts of our past. I get high of this fucked up life. I get high of this fucked up life. Someone comes up to me, asks me questions, I don't think I can answer those. It's superficial bullshit, and we're drowning in it. Hold off your judgments, I know they're unwarranted. We're all fastening our masks, praying to be naked in the eyes of a stranger. I'll hold my breath, you count to 10, maybe together we'll resist the trend, but I won't blame you if you don't. I've been guilty, don't you know? We follow rules we make for ourselves, running in cyclical motions around our emotions, avoiding the toes of ghosts of our past. I get high of this fucked up life. I get high of this fucked up life. I get high of this crazy, crazy life. I get high of this crazy life. Crazy, crazy, crazy life. Pretty sure I'm happier when you're sad in a constant battle. Oh, born with a heavy heart, with a tender soul. Look to the waters, yeah, go where the wind blows. I know it's hard when you're alone. I get high of this fucked up life. I get high of this fucked up life. I get high of this crazy, crazy life. I get high of this crazy life. Crazy, crazy, crazy life. Of this crazy life, of this crazy life, of this crazy life, crazy, crazy, crazy life.
Ooh, bravo, applause.
I also get high off of this crazy fuck. That was
Katya
beautiful.
D'Janoeff,
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh, we have so little time left. I'm even embarrassed to talk about that, but it's like 3 more minutes to go. So let's ask the most important question that we had prepared.
All right, great. What's the meaning of life?
Is that actually the question?
Well, anyway, the answer is 42, right? So we can move on.
And there's no meaning.
I'm having a deja vu here.
42.
What countries have you performed?
What countries have I performed in? I've performed in London, because I'm from London. Georgia, Armenia, New York.
The United States.
The United
Oh,
States.
nice. Where in New York?
Well, I did this thing called So Far Sounds. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're like small gigs in people's living rooms and stuff that was set up. I think it was set up in England, but then it's now in like so many cities across the world. It's amazing.
So cool.
So it happens in Georgia. I think, we should start it here as well.
Sofa Sounds.
So Far Sounds, yeah. So Far Sounds.
Yeah.
But so they do them all over the world. So I was going to New York, so I did a gig there with them. And then I don't know. Where else have I played? I feel like I'm forgetting somewhere. I don't know. Yeah.
What was your favorite? What was? I asked this question to Andre too, and I love asking this to music performers because there's always a concert that you've performed that is so memorable to you.
Yeah.
That there's one that's like a special one. Which one is that one for you? What's that story?
She smiles. I think she knows.
I'm trying to think. I don't know. I mean, I think when I realized people were really liking what I was doing, so there were people who there were not just friends in the audience, but some fans. So then I think that was like a moment where I was like, okay, this is... Because although, of course, I love that my friends are supportive, but I'm a bit cynical, so I'm like, oh, okay, they've got to be nice. They've got to say it's good. But like, if other people who I don't know say it's good, then I'm like,
If I
okay,
didn't
fine.
put them on the guest list, would they really be here if they had to pay to get in?
Actually, they have paid to get in, so I give them that for sure. No.
One more question?
Yeah, one more. Yeah, go ahead.
Biggest influences?
Oh my gosh, there's so many people.
People, musicians.
Yeah.
Old school, new.
I mean, so when I was younger, I listened to a lot of like blues because of my dad. So like Eric Clapton and lots of guitarists. So I think that's why I got really into like electric guitar. So I think that influenced me a lot. And then I started getting into like jazz singers as well. So I listened to some like Nina Simone and various people. And then I started writing more jazz chords, and then I liked Amy Winehouse and stuff, and I feel like I go through kind of phases of people inspiring me. So but yeah, I think blues and jazz is kind of those guys, the base of my music inspiration.
Thank you.
Cool, thank you.
Katya D'Janoeff Jan.
Thank you.
And thanks for inspiring also us here. We really enjoyed it. I mean, in the headphones, it's especially great to enjoy your beautiful face there on the red couch, and also listening to your music. And thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for accepting our invite, and I hope this is not the last time you're here.
No.
And in Armenia, in our studio at Radio Van, and also we'll enjoy getting to know you better.
Yeah.
And maybe you will sometime move to Armenia. Who knows? Thanks. Now we'll go on a break and we'll come back with calendar of events. Stay tuned. This is the Great American Weekend.
Oh, say, can you see?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed?
Adamast, what are you doing?
He's trying not to forget where he came from.
Welcome back to the Great American Weekend here on Radio Von.
We heard all kinds of singing tonight. And now,
that was not that on the trip. That was not, that was not singing.
That was rapping.
okay. So we've got
Hip-hoppening,
our last
non-stopping.
4 minutes, and we go through really quickly to our calendar of events. Let's go. I
Right.
think Master Steve starts the.
Okay, so we've got the events at the Yerevan American Corner, the Debate Club. Do you want to improve your English language skills and learn how to debate? Join the Debate Club every Friday at 4 p.m. with Jim Daly. The Reading Club. If you enjoy a good story and want to expand your vocabulary as well as practice your listening and speaking skills, join the Yerevan American Corners Reading Club every Monday at 3 p.m. An intermediate level of English is required. Now, in terms of the Debate Club, they don't have the topic announced yet, but if you check out the American Corner, the Yerevan American Corner Facebook page, they usually announce it a few days in advance.
Okay.
We've got the Teenage Club at the Yerevan American Corner as well. They invite all teens to their weekly Teenage Club, where you can improve your English and learn more about American culture and lifestyle. There's no homework. No assignments, just games, discussions, group activities, and tons of fun. This is every Friday at 3 p.m.
Tons of fun. Tons of fun.
Okay, let's move to the movies.
This is Movies in English with a Russian accent at the Kino Park Yerevan Mall. June 8th to 12th, Aladdin at 5:30 p.m. Rub a lamp, get a genie. Godzilla, King of the Monsters at 2:45. Another Godzilla film. What can go wrong? Except for a giant lizard. The Secret Life of Pets at 1:35 p.m. I don't know anything about this film, but it sounds interesting.
Scary. It's scary. No. Secret Life of Pets. It's a really
kids
cool
animated
cartoon.
film.
Yeah.
I have seen the first
Yeah.
one. Probably.
I've seen both.
That was 180-degree turnaround from scary to fun family-filled film. So Rocketman, the edited version with that
oh, really? They're showing the censored one
I believe
here?
so. I think
the
there's
Russian version.
No, that rainbow stuff that is on there at 6:15. X-Men: Dark Phoenix. X-Men: Dark Phoenix. What? There's an X-Men film? Oh, wait, sorry.
Come on.
At 4:45 and 7:40, Men in Black International at June 12th. Man, these franchises on June 12th only at 11:15.
Okay,
so,
guys.
Uli Hanyan Club is reopening in a new location on Sayat Nova Avenue, and it started last night. Tonight is the second night of a 5-day jazz festival they're doing there to celebrate their new location. So Strong Brass Quintet and Jave Geodakian's Sextet play tomorrow on June 9th. Rafael Petrosian Trio and Karen Gregorian Quintet play on the 10th at 8:30. They've got something on the 11th as well. And then also for music this week, Vortan Karmir is playing at the Stop Club on June 15th at 9 p.m.
And
so
Hey, I just wanted to do a special shout out. There's a very special solo performance by Vahak and Hayrabedyan, who will be playing a tribute for Felix Yerazaryan, Armenian artist, at the Saryan Museum on June 11th, this Tuesday at 6 p.m. Tickets are 2,000 dirhams at the door. Come and see this really special performance, solo performance by Hakan.
And before we forget, our guest earlier, who was here in the studio, she forgot to mention that on the 16th of June, she's performing at Kalume later in the evening, and the hour is not clear yet, but you can find that out calling Kalume. So Katya D'Janoeff performing a concert at Kalume Pub, 16th June. We enjoyed it and hope maybe we can see the continuation of her playing at Kalume. We're done for tonight. We had some more stuff which we will publish on our Great American Weekend page. Some more events at Opera and Ballet Theater, also clubs, and some other stuff. So if you guys want to catch up, go ahead and check out our group, actually, the Great American Weekend Radio Van.
Thank you for joining us
Thank
this
you
week.
for joining us. We'll be back here next Saturday with more interesting information. Have a great rest of the weekend. Hasba?
It was a pleasure and a joy to be speaking at you all. Thank you.
Great. Bye-bye.